business leaders spent $100,000 to rebrand the 16th Street Mall, and you'll never believe the name they came up with.
We will now describe this great jewel in Denver as 16th Street.
Housing advocates worry we're headed for a ton of evictions in Colorado if Republicans in Washington pass their budget slashing housing vouchers. A look at why people in Elbert County didn't get an alert before a tornado destroyed their homes. And Aurora City Council finds a new way to limit public comment from that pesky public. Tonight on Next.
Denver's 16th Street Mall has a new name bound to revolutionize that space in our city. The Downtown Denver Partnership paid a marketing team $100,000 to rebrand the 16th Street Mall as 16th Street. Don't act like you're not impressed. That is a $100,000 idea. You're just mad you didn't think of it. Good luck getting longtime Coloradans like Marshall Zellinger to change what he's already called the mall. That's going to be tough to stop, Marshall. It's the mall.
Yeah, I mean, I call it Mile High, I call it DIA, and there's a good chance I'm still going to call this the 16th Street Mall. I digress. The facelift of the street itself is still underway, still a few more months to go, but the facelift of the name itself, if I'm doing this right, that seems to be complete.
Hello, Denver.
The Denver name gets to stay when these new street signs go up downtown.
We will now describe this great jewel in Denver as 16th Street.
The rebrand of the 16th Street Mall came with a giant eraser, at least on paper. It's going to take some practice to get it out of the vocabulary.
We dropped the mall because it is so much more than just one retail location or one block. It is an entire mall of experience, a mile of experience.
Not quite a mile yet. The work on the old mall continues until this fall.
When you think of what a multi-level shopping mall meant to this street in 1982, it's very different than today.
Courtney Garrett and the Downtown Denver Partnership spent $100,000 on a rebrand, a new name, which is really 67% of the old name, new public messaging like the Denver Way, and new logos.
What was the second most popular name? It ranged from Rattlesnake Row, which was an ode to the pattern in the pavers, to references to the mile.
The pavers, she mentioned, are the path down the center of 16th Street, the ones that the RTD Mall ride, son of a...
We have not yet renamed the bus.
Well, RTD did say it will replace the words mall ride with free ride in a few months, because the new M word for this area is simply mile.
The misperception that you can come and think you're looking for one location or one building, we think has a real impact on retailers throughout the entire mile of 16th Street.
Rebranding and refreshing only goes so far. The Downtown Denver Partnership reports overall visits here are 85% of pre-COVID traffic, and 16th Street store vacancy is at 30%.
The importance of going through this exercise was a lot more than just a brand. It was a whole lot more than just a name. It was redefining the experience.
I learned something a little odd today. Mayor Mike Johnson and I share a memory. He thought the 16th Street Mall from his youth was the Tabor Center and the food court. I thought the 16th Street Mall was when my dad would take me and my sister to the Tabor Center and the Sharper Image inside the Tabor Center, and then to Burger King in the food court.
You strike me as somebody who enjoyed a visit to Sharper Image in your youth. I mean, I don't know, Marshall. I feel like name's great, right? Fantastic, you know, rebrand, fantastic. Like, but if the experience is still like check out these national chain restaurants and maybe get hollered at by a panhandler, that's not a super experience.
Yeah, if you build it, will they come? Safety and cleanliness was brought up as part of this news conference. Last month, the City of Denver and the Downtown Denver Partnership talked about dedicated officers. I think there's going to be 10 dedicated police officers on foot patrol down here. The Downtown Denver Partnership hires 20 private security officers and 50 what they call clean team members who work here to keep it clean every day of the week.
All right, Marshall Zellinger reporting from just 16th Street. Don't call it a mall, no matter what the signs say. Marshall, thank you. Aurora city leaders keep reducing chances for the public to speak at meetings because so often over the last year, that public feedback has been public criticism over APD's killing of an unarmed black man. Last night, the Conservative majority on City Council passed a new rule banning large groups of speakers from standing at the podium at once, unless somebody's up there to help someone else with a disability. This is the latest in a string of new public comment limitations Aurora City Council has passed in the last year. It's a crackdown on protesters who come to each and every meeting to talk about the police shooting of Kylan Lewis. The council has already moved the public comment time. They've banned remote public comment. They've canceled several in-person meetings in favor of virtual meetings. Last night, Conservative City Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky said Lewis's family wants action. They got to take their case to court. She referred publicly to Lewis's death last night as justified murder.
Term for what happened to Kylan. It is murder. That is the technical term. It is murder. But what it is it's justified murder. I have also asked that this be turned over to a court of law to decide justice. I made a plea on the Brother Jeff show. You guys have an attorney. I asked that you file the lawsuit and let a jury of Kylan's peers decide.
Mayor Mike Kaufman, fellow Conservative, has been clear. The city of Aurora is not going to take further action over Kylan Lewis's death. APD leadership cleared the officer who killed Lewis. The Colorado Supreme Court will soon decide whether employees can be fired for defending themselves at work. Their decision could settle an ongoing lawsuit from a Circle K employee who says she was fired for defending herself against an armed robber. It could also carve out a new exception in the state's employment laws. Mary Ann Moreno's lawsuit's been bouncing around the legal system since she was fired back in 2020. She said that she was working alone at the Circle K in Westminster when a man armed with knives came behind the counter and tried to steal cigarettes. Moreno, who was 72 years old at the time, says she grabbed the shoplifter's arm in an act of self-defense. Then she got fired 2 days later. Circle K argued that she violated their don't chase or confront policy. Last week, the federal judge hearing Moreno's wrongful termination case referred the case to the state Supreme Court, asking them to decide whether state law prohibits employers from firing an employee for self-defense. The court's answer will decide whether Moreno goes to trial. Moreno's attorneys say it would also set a new precedent in state law. Republicans in Congress may drastically cut housing assistance vouchers. Advocates worry that could cause a wave of new evictions in Colorado. Here's our Angeline McCall.
Decisions in Congress could mean the difference of families staying in their homes or not.
The budget in front of us as it's moving through Congress looks to be devastating for renters in Colorado.
Sam Gilman with the Colorado Economic Defense Project says 130,000 people in Colorado rely on some form of federal rental assistance. That money could be cut by 40% in the budget proposal by Congress.
Folks are already struggling to make ends meet and to fit all of the pieces of a family budget together. And with this drawback of federal support, I think we're just fearing really meaningful and serious consequences across the state.
Eviction rates across the state hit an all-time high in 2024, with 60,000 households receiving a notice. Gilman says they're seeing those eviction numbers up 5% this year so far.
We're gonna only expect even more evictions, and unfortunately, they're likely to come fast in that world if the money for these subsidies turns off.
The budget proposes giving more control to the states, but also essentially ends Section 8 and other housing voucher programs.
Where are those families going to go when there's no more housing subsidy to support them? We're looking at really, really meaningful impacts on kids across the state of Colorado.
Decisions that we'll know in the next couple of weeks that could have impacts for far longer.
The impact of this will be really enormous.
Another part of this plan is also putting a cap on how long you can access rental assistance at 2 years, meaning this could mark a real shift from long-term assistance into more forms like emergency rental assistance, as well as shorter-term assistance with something like shelters, for instance, Kyle.
So I feel like, Angeline, we've talked about the Republican budget plan on a couple of levels and all these ideas where it's like, well, if the states want it, then the states can pay for it, whether that is health coverage, whether that is now housing assistance, whether that is food assistance. The state budgets simply are not going to be able to meet that. So in the end, those cuts are likely to happen if it just gets shifted to the states.
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly how each individual state would do something, specifically Colorado as well. But when we're talking about a 40% reduction, it's hard to imagine that states would have the money to even fill that gap, right? And then when you talk about other changes to things like SNAP, Medicaid, housing assistance, well, states are going to have really difficult decisions as to which programs to pour into.
Hard choices ahead and possibly budget reductions even at the state level coming up. Angelina McCall, thank you very much. The Mountain View Town Council member who shot a teenager in the face is facing a recall election tonight as his criminal case moves ahead in court. Investigators say Brent Metz shot the teenager when the kid jumped a fence onto Metz's property to ask if he could take homecoming pictures there. Young man survived. Metz is facing 4 felonies in connection with the shooting. The recall effort says he's lost the community's trust, and the criminal charges undermine his leadership ability. Metz maintained his innocence in a written statement that he was allowed to put on the ballot. Last month, his defense attorney told a judge they're working towards a settlement of the criminal case. Pretrial hearing is scheduled for June.
This was a land spat at first. They really do pop up out of nowhere.
Fast developing storm got ahead of the National Weather Service over the weekend, meaning Coloradans were never warned before a tornado destroyed their homes. And important news for anyone who ever breathes air in Jefferson County. Next. Who is that? Who is that lady? The National Weather Service has rated the tornado that hit Elbert County on Sunday an EF2. Had wind speeds up to 135 miles per hour, caused considerable damage to more than a dozen homes, but folks in the area never got an alert on their phone. Elbert County leaders say they never sent out an emergency alert because they never received an emergency alert from the National Weather Service. Their code red opt-in alert system sends out automatic alerts based on NWS warnings. But the NWS didn't issue a tornado warning for Elbert County on Sunday afternoon, and they didn't send out an alert about the tornado that damaged 19 homes in the Elkhorn Ranch neighborhood till that storm was moving into Arapahoe County. Our meteorologist Chris Bianchi says that's understandable because the tornado abruptly formed from a landspout.
The science is not there yet. We don't know where and when a landspout tornado is going to form. When it first developed, there was no clear signature on radar. There was nothing other than the visual on the ground.
By the time that storm moved north to Bennett, there was rotation visible on the radar, so people in Bennett got an alert before the tornado touched down. The tornado there damaged at least 17 buildings. It also got an EF2 rating today. Let's bring in meteorologist Kathy Sabin. 2 EF2s in one day, relatively rare in Colorado to get them at all.
Yes, that would be the 4th and 5th EF2 tornadoes reported, and we haven't seen that happen in 28 years. Incredibly unusual and started so incredibly fast. The storm formed at 1 o'clock and then dropped a tornado like several minutes later. And everybody along the Front Range, it seems like, saw this giant tornado with that EF2 rating. There were 4 tornado reports that day, 2 coming in with the EF2 rating to winds to 135 miles per hour. We're waiting to get the rest of the National Weather Service survey to find out if the other 2 were landspouts or also have an EF rating. Today's the day. It's calm and quiet to think about your severe weather plan, know what county you're in, what shape the county is, and where you are in that county. So when I issue a tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warning, you'll know where you are in conjunction to the incoming storm. Temperatures today actually low 70s in downtown Denver. That was a nice recovery, but my goodness, has it been windy. Now, the good news is the wind should start to die down as the sun begins to set. All the heavy weather is off to the east of us, tornadoes, large hail, while back here in Colorado, we're tracking a few light snow showers in the northern mountains. If your travel plans take you out of Colorado, you're going to run into issues at St. Louis, Memphis, and Atlanta, the major airport hubs in those areas. We're looking at comfortable conditions the next couple of days and a warming trend that'll see us in the 80s by the end of the week. But thunderstorms are back in the forecast over the holiday weekend, especially on Sunday afternoon and Memorial Day Monday.
A centrist Democrat from the state legislature is now getting into her party's primary for Colorado's 8th congressional district. State Rep Shannon Byrd is running to challenge Republican Congressman Gabe Evans next year. Byrd's from Westminster. She served on the Joint Budget Committee that shapes how the state spends money. That Democratic primary already includes former Congresswoman Yadira Caraveo, and State Rep Manny Rutinel. More Democrats are expected to get in, thinking that the 2026 midterms have the potential to be good for their party. That district includes Denver's northern suburbs up to Weld County. Jeffco's got a new air monitoring system. It's like checking the weather, but for the stuff we breathe. Hey, a reminder, you can watch Next streaming each night, 6 p.m. on 9 News Plus, and we are a podcast wherever you find those. Tonight's next question comes from a viewer named Sean on Blue Sky, curious about where a nostalgic piece of art will wind up as the 16th Street Mall undergoes its $100,000 rebrand to just 16th Street. Sean's talking about the Buffalo sculptures by famous local artist Bill Janulis. They were at 16th and Larimer for years before renovations of the mall, don't call it a mall, began. The Downtown Denver Partnership says those Buffalo have not been scrapped. They are safe in storage, and they will one day return to the mall. Stop calling it a mall. Just maybe not in the same location. Spokesperson says new location TBD. Send us your next questions. Ask about anything Colorado. You can't be the only one wondering. We welcome written questions, video questions. Send them to next@9news.com or text next at 303-871-1491. Warmer weather means it's time to play outside and all the dust and smoke and nasty air that can come along with it. Our Amy Hunter spoke with the folks in Jefferson County to learn about a new hyper-local air monitoring program, helping people decide when to take the outside stuff back indoors.
There's never a shortage of beautiful days when it comes to Colorado weather. But sometimes the wind brings more than cool air.
We could sometimes see the impact of wildfire smoke even coming from like Canada.
Madison Pitts knows the air we breathe isn't always healthy.
There's a lot of traffic on our streets, a lot of industrial sources, as well as we're located at the base of the mountains. That traps pollution.
She's part of a program with Jefferson County called Love My Air.
So the purpose of the program is to allow individuals to stay informed what the air quality risks are.
It has 10 air monitors in the county.
Edgewater, Lakewood, Golden, Wheat Ridge.
Each one measures the levels of PM 2.5.
PM 2.5 are very fine particles that are easy to inhale deep into your lungs that cause respiratory issues.
People can access real-time information to know if activities, like exercising outdoors, should be avoided. It's something that can be especially useful during wildfire season.
There might be more wildfire smoke in one area due to winds. It would be particularly helpful to be able to look online and then make that decision on whether or not you want to go on that hike or bike ride or just walk around the neighborhood.
Pitts hopes access to this data helps people breathe a little easier.
Make it part of your routine, just as if you were to check your weather application to see if you put on a sweater or not in the morning. Check the Love My Air dashboard to see what the risk to your health is.
For Next, I'm Amy Hunter.
Been reading your email during the show. Everybody wants to talk about the 16th Street Mall. Everybody. Thank you, Marissa. We've got your feedback next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a graduation ceremony for one.
At this time, we award Emily her diploma.
Brad Carmen sent us this video of his daughter Emily's graduation from Loveland Classical Schools. It's like any other graduation you've ever seen, except there's just the one graduate. They threw this together at the last minute after learning that Emily's 2A soccer semifinals were going to be scheduled for the same time as her graduation ceremony. The administration did the whole regalia thing, all the pomp and circumstance, just for Emily. She even got to give her salutatorian speech. That's really cool. And then her soccer team went out and they won the semis. They play in the state 2A championship tomorrow in Colorado Springs. Congratulations to Emily and all the other grads out there. Oh my goodness, the feedback about Denver's 16th Street Mall and the $100,000 rebrand. This by text. I'll charge you half as much to rebrand next. No, I think we'll hold on to our money there. This from Lisa is interesting. She says, I really wish Mayor Johnson and the city of Denver would stop trying to revitalize the 16th Street Mall and realize it's never going to be the same after COVID. They need to think outside the box, figure out a new purpose for downtown. I think there's a thought about trying to get a lot more people to live down there. The question is, what happens in the meantime? See you next time.